Welcome everyone. Hope we'll have a lovely month in between. So let's kick off with apologies and reasons for absence. We have received an apology from Councillor Harris, who won't be joining us this evening, and doesn't want to run anyone else off. So shall we vote? I would propose that we accept Councillor Harris's absence. All those in favour, seconder, sorry. Councillor Clark, thank you. And all those in favour of accepting, thank you very much. Item number 2, declaration of members' interest and applications for dispensation. Do we have any registrations of interest or specific dispensation? Right. No, we do not. Lovely. Item number 3, we have deputations from members of the public. Do we have any wish to say anything from the seats, the numerous seats at the back? No? No. Very well, then we'll move on to agenda item number 4 to ratify the minutes from the meeting held on the 6th of August 2025. Would anyone care to make a comment? No?
I do, but I wasn't waiting. Are we standing?
Please, yeah.
Yeah, no problem. I just wanted to read out this one here, minute 8/025/04 minutes, to confirm the accuracy of the minutes of the meeting held on the 14th of May following the discussion between councillors. Minutes would be revisited between MP and CN and amended accordingly, and we accepted that. But it's a bit odd that they're not here this evening.
Can I come to that?
Yeah, when I just finished, because I've had discussion with the office today, and they're trying to tell me that the fact that because it actually says deferred in amended minutes that I was looking at. I'm pretty sure it did somewhere. Anyway, but even revisiting, and it's similar, doesn't mean we accepted them. And I think people around this table would agree with me that that was the third time we rejected the minutes. And you, yourself personally, were going to look at them with Melanie. So once they've been corrected, it would have been normal for them to come back today and we'd approve them, because they're not online.
May I?
Yes, I'll finish on that point, but I do have something else.
Something else.
I've got 2 other points on the minutes.
We'll raise them now.
Okay, right. Then we have minute 8/25/07, the review to the move to Victoria Hall. Number 2, the council agreed for the working group to continue with its ongoing tasks. The council agreed to move to Victoria Hall, and it was proposed and carried. But what's missing is that we also approved that Councillor Harris would attend a working group meeting. And if he liked the working group meeting, he would be co-opted onto that working group this meeting. So that should have been minuted. It doesn't matter that Mr. Ainsley says that they didn't meet. It was a decision from the council to allow Councillor Harris to attend the meeting and then later be co-opted at this meeting, and it should have been minuted, please.
Right, we'll revise that, and
Okay.
I think myself and the office will look into that and see what exactly was said and move from there.
Okay, and then we come to the bank statements minutes. I pointed out that it shouldn't be redacted, which is correct. The names of the members of staff should be redacted, but I was saying that it shouldn't be redacted on councillors' copies, because this week we have the names redacted. We're being asked to approve those payments. Those payments could be for Tesco, Sainsbury's, whatever. How can we approve the accounts when we don't know who has received that money? That's what I'm saying, and I was very clear at the meeting that our copies, which had stopped being redacted but went back to this complicated mess at the last meeting, anyway. And also, it's not been minuted again that I asked for 2 members to be appointed to verify the invoices of payments. Those councillors are supposed to be 2 people who are not signatories, and it's not just my requirement, it's something that the internal auditor has brought up. And I'm getting cross.
Please sit down.
Let me finish.
Excuse me, did you just swear?
I said I'm getting cross.
Sit down.
No, you can't tell me what to do. Let me finish.
He's gone past 3 minutes.
Let me finish.
Wrap up.
Yes, I will
No,
finish.
very quickly, please.
Yeah, I've finished. So I'm getting annoyed, that's what I'm saying, cross, that things are being left out of our minutes, important things like that. And it almost seems selective to me.
Thank you, Councillor Brooks. I appreciate your strength of feeling.
Yes, thank you.
Can I just say, Chair, the minutes are not a reflection of everything that's said in a meeting. They are a reflection of what the clerk and the chair have agreed occurred in the meeting. No more than that. It's up to council. If you have a problem with them, councillor, you can put an amendment in. But what's agreed in the minutes is sent agenda. The minutes are sent to the chair, and it's not a verbatim record of what happens in this council. There's salient points only. And the salient points are up to the chair and the clerk to decide, and the council when it comes to the proposal.
May I respond? Because
I'm eager, Councillor Brooks.
I'll be very quick.
No, I'm eager to move along. We've got a
No,
very...
but I think I'm entitled to respond.
Councillor Brooks, we have a very, very...
I know, but just very quickly, I want to point out that...
Councillor Brooks.
Can I point out that I emailed this to the office and it's ignored?
Councillor Brooks.
No, it's very clear that I emailed this to the office and I am ignored.
And it will be addressed. It will be addressed.
But I've been told that 3 meetings in a row. I'm sorry, Chairman, it's not acceptable. That is the reason I cannot accept the accounts tonight.
Then I'm sure
because
you'll
we haven't
reflect
had it
on the
verified.
And you will reflect
And
on
it
the
is
vote.
very
Councillor
frustrating.
Brooks, I'm not engaging in a debate here tonight.
I apologise, but
Thank you,
I am
but
cross
that will do.
because I keep asking for things
Councillor
and
Brooks.
being ignored.
Councillor Brooks, we are not here for a debating shop. I appreciate, as I've said, your strength of feeling and I understand your frustrations. We will address it in the office and with the clerk, and I hope that in a little bit of my report and what we're going to look at, that helps you to understand the way that we're going.
Okay.
Right. Does anyone else have any observations? Okay. Well, for sake, I'm going to propose that we accept the accuracy of the meetings held on the 6th of August 2025. Is there a seconder? Councillor Bounthwaite. All those in favour of accepting those minutes? Okay. And those against? What, would you like that recorded, Councillor?
Yes, please, because it's based on the Councillor Harris point.
I believe that has carried. Number 5. Right, Councillors' reports and questions. The office has not received any questions from the office. Do we have any reports to share? No. And on swiftly then to item number 6, the co-option proposal to consider the application of Mr. Jonathan Nichols, who joins us this evening. Welcome.
It's probably best if you just suspend standing orders while we just do this interview briefly, because that way people can talk freely.
That's a good idea. So for this item then, I propose that we suspend standing orders so that we can have a robust chat with prospective councillors. Does anyone second that? Oh, quick draw, Councillor Clark, and all those in favour. That appears to be unanimous, thank you. Right, anyone want to fire away, or would you?
Do you want to say anything?
Yeah, would you like to introduce yourself and say a few words?
Well, hello, good evening. So yes, I'm interested in standing to the co-option for the Oakham Town Council. I've lived in Oakham for the best part of 15 years. Moved here the date that my eldest daughter was due to arrive, so it was a fairly hectic time. But I've raised now 2 children in Oakham, and it is a wonderful place to be. I have grown very attached to the area, and I feel like it's about time to try and give something back to an area that's given me a lot. So that's my motivation for being here this evening.
Would any of colleagues like to ask any questions of
Just make an observation, it's very good to have a professor to educate us all.
Specifically on physics.
Yeah, particularly, it's so relevant in space, I think.
the movement of large, comparatively slow-moving objects should be quite a relief for you here. Right then. Lovely. So yes, I think we'll, if that's everything from the floor, then I propose that we resume back into standing orders. So I'm going to second that. Thanks, Councillor Douthwaite, and those in favour. That's unanimous. Wonderful. We are moved back into and under our standing orders.
So we'll just
You turn your name up now.
Do we need to propose?
Yes, we do.
Oh, sorry.
Can I
Sorry.
I thought you. Oh no, we've got back in session.
You may propose, Councillor.
that we accept the
tell me.
application from Mr Nichols?
Councillor Brooks has proposed that we accept Mr Nichols as a town councillor. No. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Sally-Ann Wadsworth off the mark there. And all of those in favour? That is unanimous. Welcome aboard, Councillor Nichols.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank
All
you.
you have to do now. And then
Sign the map.
it's just.
Thank you for your generous offer of your time and service.
It's tonight.
Oh, very nice.
Yes.
It's a momentous occasion. Receiving the relative following.
We are not live because they were complaining they couldn't hear what we were saying, so which is unusual. I took it off.
Okay.
But we have a recording. Hopefully that's still going.
Lovely. So that concludes the co-option of our newest member. Wonderful. And on swiftly then. So you're, from this point, Councillor Nichols, you're able to vote, you're able to participate fully in conversation. So yeah, that's we're on to item 7, our chairman's report. So I'll give you a quick rundown. So to revisit Councillor Brooks' point, it has been noted by myself in the office that the minutes of the 14th of May are still outstanding and that they need further resource and time allocated to that. I guarantee that these will be brought back before the next meeting, or for the next meeting rather, for us to scrutinise and review.
Thank you.
I'm pleased to advise that I attended the VJ commemoration event. We laid wreaths at the War Memorial and said a few words to remember those that had made the ultimate sacrifice. We went on to Rocks by Rail over between Cottesmore and Ashwell, where they have one of the original steam locomotives that was used to move the POWs in the Far East. It was a very, very and heartfelt remembrance, and yeah, quite a few of the Oakham residents and the surrounds have quite clearly been touched by the events of that time. And it was, yeah, it was lovely to remember those of what was been known as the Forgotten Army. So yeah, that was a great event. Likewise, we had a very brief but nonetheless quite a touching merchant navy flag raising also quite recently, which was quite well attended. Clark, would you like to?
Yeah, rather than the format, obviously, the format from now on will be every month you will have an office newsletter. Rather than me going on and rabbiting on in the meeting, it will be circulated to all councillors and put on the website, and will give you a briefing of what we've achieved during the month. So rather than state everything, if there's anybody who's got any questions about this or the September task that we're undertaking, now's your chance to ask me a question, otherwise I'll keep quiet. Councillor Brooks.
It's not a question, it's an observation, and I hope it will be taken on board because I think it's very unfair. There's an employment issue mentioned in a public document here, an outstanding complaint from a councillor. I won't mention names because it's going public again. I don't think that a monthly newsletter is at all fair to that member of staff. I don't care about the councillor's name, but there is no way that this council should be putting staff complaints in a newsletter or complaints about the staff. So can we make sure that that doesn't happen again, please?
I give you my assurance that will never happen again.
Thank you. I don't know who did this, but so I'm not attacking you, I'm just saying that it's not appropriate.
You can see, I hope you can see how much the office is doing at the moment. Obviously mistakes will be made and I will count this as a mistake, but we will move forward from that and make certain, hopefully, well, everybody makes mistakes, don't they? So we'll just move forward from that and carry on.
Lovely. Thank you very much. Item 8, correspondence received.
Well, there are, but there's nothing poignant at the moment that isn't on the agenda.
And yes, we do have something to consider at a later date today, don't we?
Yes, we do.
Wonderful. On to the item number 9, bank statements of budget.
Just before, if you can, just obviously you'll notice, I hope some of you have noticed now, the reconciliation is somewhat different from what you used to. It's obviously our Lloyd's current account. But what's different is the reconciliation, which tells you this system, let's be clear about this. We have a bank balance. I've looked at that bank balance, reconciled all the payments we've made, and only when it comes to zero am I allowed to reconcile. So in other words, hit the button on Realtus says this is all balanced. So every payment here has to be true. The white ones, you can see white on 9.1, the white ones, Office Friends, Ilford Media and Millennium. The reason they're white is because they are payments that have not been made in this financial month, last financial month, sorry. For obvious reasons, we're now under a three signatory system. There will be situations where the payment is initiated and won't be completed within that month, but they still will be in the Realtus system because I will see them and put them in Realtus. So the white ones are payments that have been authorised but haven't been completed within the month, but will appear next month in the reconcile, so you'll see them next month as a red block. So all the ones that are red are the ones that are paid, and you should find them on the Lloyd's statement 9.2. All the ones that are in white will not be in this statement because the bank has not cleared them. So in other words, by my fault, we might have initiated them, Office for instance, could have been initiated on the 28th of August, but the 3 other signatories necessary to clear it have not been made before the 1st of September. I hope that's clear because it's an important point and something from now on with multiple signatories on a bank account will happen time after time. Any questions, please?
Councillor Brooks.
Yeah, I did already raise the issue of the redactions of the names on here and on our copies of the bank statements, so I'm not sure how we're expected to accept these accounts. I have actually photographed these redactions with the expensive marker pens, and if you enlarge it, you can actually work out who it is. So that's in the public domain. I believe we paid money for software to actually clear these off where they are needed to be redacted in the public domain. And I wonder why that's not being used. And then I won't repeat about the verification of payments and invoices because I raised that previously. But I am very concerned because I gave plenty of time and emailed, and I'm getting quite fed up with being ignored and told by staff that I'm ignored. So I had a list of questions which had not been answered by the office relating to the payments.
This is not on the agenda.
Which is fine if you could submit those.
No, I need them answering now.
Did you submit them prior?
Yeah, but we shouldn't have to do that.
If you haven't submitted...
I did. This was emailed on Monday to the office.
I thought we'd answered these.
No, it hasn't been answered. And I just find it unacceptable because I'm asking quite important questions about Millennium Computers. Why were 2 payments made on August the 1st for £80.94? That's question 1. 1 payment on August the 14th, 2025, which I now understand is computer equipment, which should have come to this council for approval
I
because
can
it's not.
also explain that.
That's £1,276.20. And then we have DG Music on the 18th of August for £150. I've been told by another councillor that this is a deposit for a band concert next year. But I shouldn't have to ask other councillors, this should be answered. And also, the large payments to Lift Media, I'm told that this is because the Lord Lieutenant wanted a full-page advert rather than our usual half-page adverts for the 2 events which were billed as our events, or if you looked at certain adverts, we were supporting them. And then we have a payment on the 4th of August for 5p.
Is that a question, Councillor Brooks?
Well, yeah, these are all questions. What are they?
So presumably, if you...
And then we've got £23.26 to Amazon's Business, £30 to Chris Evans, £150 to ZPS Music.
Are all of these questions, Councillor
Yes,
Brooks?
they are. £78 to AG Adcock Electrical Services, £31.65 to
Councillor
Travis
Brooks,
Perkins.
can I interject, please?
But the problem is, you
Councillor
see,
Brooks, I am going to give you a warning at this point. You are dominating the discourse of this evening.
no, I'm as a
Councillor Brooks, I'm giving you a warning. Be quiet.
I'm scrutinising, you shouldn't be interrupting me, I'm scrutinising the statement of
Councillor
accounts.
Brooks, if you interrupt
This is
me-
our only legal requirement, that we
Councillor
understand
Brooks,
this.
Councillor Brooks, if you interrupt again,
No, you interrupted me.
because you
No,
are
I'm really
outside of your 3-minute window and I'm giving you that warning.
I'm nearly finished.
No, you are finished now. Sit down, please.
No, I'm sorry. I
Councillor
want to
Brooks,
know why I
have
am
been
being
warned.
I want to know why I am being ignored when I ask these
You have not
questions.
asked that question, Councillor Brooks. You have asked a series of questions that will be answered.
Because that is what we are supposed to do.
Yes, it is.
So, but then you're telling me I can't answer
I'm
them.
not
I'm
saying
not
that.
stupid, Chairman.
I'm not
Stop it
accusing you of that.
now. No,
Sit
you
down.
are accusing me of being stupid because
No, I'm categorically not, Councillor
you're
Brooks.
telling me I
I'm accusing
can't
you.
ask questions when legally I can ask
No,
questions on these accounts. And
Councillor
what we
Brooks,
do is
I am not-
we email the office,
Councillor Ainsley.
so to save this time, if we
I'll leave it.
If we had the descriptions that we've been promised by Anna and other people on the Finance Committee for the last 4 months, we wouldn't have these questions.
Wait till it's finished.
Have you finished?
Can you explain why we're not getting the descriptions, and then I wouldn't have to stand here and argue with you? Because legally we need to know what these payments are for. But you all sit around going, yes, we accept these accounts, but nobody knows what the money's spent on.
Councillor Ainsley.
Yeah, thank you very much, Chair. Can I respectfully suggest that Councillor Brooks sends his list of grievances regarding payments or inquiries about payments as a list to the office.
I did it. I did it on Monday. I'm wasting my time at home going through all this, checking it as a councillor should, to be ignored by Kathy because she writes that and tells me.
Right, can I say something please? I sent that list back to Sally Ann Wadsworth.
So
No, Sally Ann emailed you first.
Yes.
But you did not respond to my email here, which has different
Ladies and
questions.
gentlemen, please, I'm going to interject this meeting. Councillor Brooks, I'm going to give you one more opportunity to conduct yourself with some decorum this evening. Otherwise, I will...
It's very hard, Chairman, because I am doing my job properly and I am being ignored.
You are once again interrupting and talking over the meeting. I will request that you do not do that again. Councillor Haynes.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I'd just like to say, I think that notwithstanding the recent outburst, I think resubmitting to the office would be really helpful, and I will insist you.
No, because that's over with, Chairman.
Martin, please, let me...
Well, that will mean that this is
Councillor
over. You're
Brooks.
going to accept this
Councillor
tonight and I
Brooks.
won't have my answers.
Right.
Yes.
If you'd let me finish. And the second thing, I want to make 3 points, if I may, all in one hit. So the first is, I think it would be really helpful to have the list submitted again. Secondly, I think that I support the business of the redaction of the names on the councillors' copies for the salaries, and I think that's something that we should agree that we need to stop. The only time it needs to be redacted for the accounts, etc., is when it's actually put into the public domain. So when we send it to councillors, it can remain as is. And the third point is temporarily escaped me, but it's another issue, so I apologise for that. But if it comes back, I'll stand again.
Can I pass this to Chris then now, my email copy that
Yeah,
I
why not?
actually sent to the office? It will all be old news to me by the time it's been got to me, but...
Go ahead,
It
Councillor
comes
Haynes.
back to me, I'm so sorry, yeah, I'm becoming like others. I think the thing is that there's no reason at all why they have to be accepted tonight. We can actually say that we defer the acceptance of whichever one's 9192. Martin, let me finish, please. And then what we can then do is then come back once we've actually given the clarity that Councillor Brooks needs.
Well, sorry, Chairman, I don't mind if you...
Councillor Brooks, enough.
I'm answering that response.
No, you're not. You have not
I do
been...
not mind if it
Right,
goes
enough.
ahead.
Absolutely enough. Right. Under section 2 of our standing orders, I'm going to ask you, Councillor Brooks, to be removed, and you will not be able to speak again at this meeting. Do you understand?
No, I'm not going anywhere,
So
sorry.
stay there, but you're not allowed to speak.
I will speak.
You will not.
I will.
You are in breach of our code of
I think you're
conduct.
treating me very unfairly because...
Councillor Brooks, you are...
Because I asked questions and you stopped me asking the questions,
Because you have
Chairman.
once again gone well over your allotted time.
Because unfortunately the list of questions happened to be too long, didn't it? Because we don't get given 4 months in a row we've been told we will be given descriptions for these payments. What the hell is going on at this council? You know, Anna has sat there and said, basically, I promised that we're going to have descriptions against the payees. And then we wouldn't have to have this situation, would we?
No, well, perhaps if rather than just pointing fingers, we were actually trying to help.
But excuse me, legally, I need to know what they are to approve it, and so does every other councillor. How many councillors in this room know what we pay Leicestershire County Council for? And you know that because you're on the Finance Committee. But I can guarantee that there'll be people in this room who don't know.
Can I just say at this point, Councillor Brooks, I've made it twice, and you can get it on your recordings. Leicestershire County Council look after our pensions.
I know.
So every
I don't have an
councillor,
issue
I've
with
said
that,
it
but
in council
it needs
meetings
a
repeatedly.
description on here to say that it's pension. It don't, you know, it's no good because we get it with Rutland County Council.
So you
Last
know
month
it
we
is.
had
You know it
three.
is.
We had 3 things from Rutland County Council last month with no description.
Right, okay, I'm not going to be, we're not going to go any further into this, but
Can you retract? Because there's some important things on here. I want to
Councillor
contribute.
Brooks.
If I apologise, could you retract?
if you
Because I wasn't-
apologise,
Yes, if I
do you mean
apologise
it,
to
Councillor
you.
Brooks?
If I apologise to you and say that I won't interrupt anymore, could you please retract the standing order thing, which I wasn't aware that was in there.
You can apologise to me, you can apologise to the clerk and the rest of your colleagues, but yes, go ahead.
But I hope they understand what my frustration is, and I am sorry that I've lost my temper.
You need to apologise to each councillor here.
Well, I don't have to do it individually. I apologise to everybody in this room that I lost my temper.
Thank you. Councillor Brooks, at this point I will remind you that is not off the table. Please do not interrupt again. We appreciate that.
But I want to take part in this meeting.
Yes, so I will retract that on the proviso.
Thank you, and I will
absolutely observe our
I think we've got over the worst part.
Thank you.
Worst part of the
Councillor
meeting.
Ainsley.
I don't know whether this is the opportune time, but I think it's probably a good idea to actually, I would like to suggest an amendment to the proposal that we accept everything and actually say that we don't accept 9192 and that we accept all the other bank accounts to come back to the next council after we have made the amendment suggested by Councillor Brooks.
That sounds very sensible.
The only concern I have with that is that means we are not audited for this month and the auditor will pick that up.
That's fine.
So in other words, if you do this, it will almost certainly be reflected in our internal audit this year, because an auditor will say you did not accept the reconciled figures for this month, and therefore, I'm just saying, because I know certain councillors will come back at us and say, all I would say is rather than do that, just because, as I understand it, we need clarification on certain payments, I will bring that clarification within this week to the councillor concerned of what those payments are, as long as we approve them as is now. So, and I will make certain that to the satisfaction of Councillor Brooks, those payments are clarified, and to all councillors.
Would that be acceptable?
Because most of them are, let's be honest, most of them are fairly small sums of money.
I'd still like to stand my proposal. Should we have a seconder if it falls at all?
Very good. Okay. Would anyone like to second Councillor Ainsley's? Okay. And all those in favour of accepting without
No, not accepting.
Not accepting 9192.
Not ratifying the accounts?
I have to point out as your town clerk, if you don't accept 9192, you can't accept any of them. Because you're effectively saying, we cannot see, we have not clarification on this. If you're not accepting the reconciliation, you can't accept the bank payments either, which is 92, because you're saying they're wrong, or could be wrong, and therefore you cannot accept 9 in general, I would say.
93, 94, 95, 96, nothing to do with the current account. So
well, 95 is year-to-date spend would be wrong, could be wrong.
okay, 9192, 95. We've had a seconder, so we need to think about it.
Yes. All those in favour of not ratifying or ratifying the accounts with these notable amendments?
9192, 96.
Okay. Those against? Okay. That was carried then. I'm going to abstain on that one.
Okay, did you vote?
I abstained.
You abstained. Good. So we've got
I'm
one
not aware
abstention.
of the context enough to make a
Comment?
Very well. So that's
So
carried.
that's 3, 2 against, 1 abstention. Yeah.
Right. So those will be looked at and revisited. We can still bring those to the next as well, can't we? We can bring those once explained to the next.
You can bring them back and once explained and carry them,
So we'll bring those to the next.
but it will mean that they won't be, I can't close the accounts for this month. Because the statement has been made that they are not correct and effectively we're rejecting 91 and 2, you're basically saying we have not reconciled. Fine.
So as long as we catalogue that and record that that's what's happening.
Yeah, well, and that has to go to the auditor.
Okay, so
You can.
that
The only papers you can't keep on the
brings
books
the
there.
bank statement budgets to an end, so we're on to item 10. Right. Just give me a shout when you're ready, Chris.
Yeah, I will. So we need to go on to 9.6, obviously.
The,
Or is 9.6 okay? Has anybody got any questions on 9.6?
Oh,
briefly, Councillor Wilson.
I have a slight issue because I have raised this and it was an internal auditor's requirement that these should be separate agenda items with a clear description. I have no objection to that money being transferred, but again it's another issue which we don't seem to be dealing with, and I did point out in the week that the last time the council approved any transfers or payments over 5,000 in the correct-ish way, because it wasn't quite correct, was 2018 for the Christmas lights. And I do wonder why it's taking so long for us to come on board and just do it properly, please.
So you're saying we're doing it properly now?
No, we're not doing it properly because that doesn't give a clear audit trail. Sorry, Carl, it doesn't give a clue. It just says 9.6 spend transfer over 5k requiring approval. Now, if I'm an auditor and come in and look at our agenda, reports don't have to be kept. So the question is, how does an auditor know what was transferred, what it was for? That's what I'm saying, and that's what we used to have. If you go back to when Richard White was the clerk, he used to quote on the agenda item, Local Government Act blah 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 requires us to pay, to declare we are authorising the payment over a certain amount of money for invoice this. It relates to council approved minute. Do you know what I'm trying to say? And it's not a difficult thing, it's for the audit trail, and the internal audit report actually said, when I wrote to the internal auditor, he said, I can't answer individual councillors' questions, but I point you to my report here. Now, off the top of my head, I can't remember the year, but it clearly said we're not doing it properly.
Lovely. Councillor Ainsley?
Yeah, just a very, very quick one. Thank you very much indeed, Chair. It is under review, and there's going to be, well, we hope, it's got to go through the Economic Working Group, that actually the authority to spend and the payment, the release of payments is actually under review about our methodology. And I'd just like to say this is something we've inherited from donkeys years ago. And, but it is, I just want to give you some comfort that it is under review. And our review currently does not state that we don't have to have it as individual agenda items as long as it's clear an audit trail. But that's the discussion for later. I just wanted to, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, notwithstanding that exchange, we have the September payments listed. I propose that we accept those as an accurate
Record.
Thank you, Councillor. Accurate record of the expenditure of September.
I'll second.
Thank you very much. All those in favour of accepting that? Thank you very much. Any against? One against. And any abstentions? One against, one abstention.
Yeah, they didn't have it recorded, did they?
No one said.
Chairman, before we move on, can I just ask, is this the bit that includes the budget?
No.
That was 9.6.
Oh, what do you mean budget?
The monthly budget thing, because I think it's all inclusive in here, because I had an issue
The
with...
monthly budget you can't, it's been rejected.
Oh, okay, so I don't need to comment
Year-to-date spending,
because I think
that's the
in
monthly
my-
budget, yeah. Well, that was rejected. So
Okay, sorry.
Okay, that concludes us with the banking item, I believe. Yes. On to agenda item number 10, which is a paper as brought by the staffing committee.
Yes, shall I, may?
If you would.
Thank you. So this paper is to do extension of a contract for our administrative assistant. Currently the contract is due to expire at the end of September. We are being asked to consider, or you're being asked to consider, that we have a 6-month extension to her contract, which will take her through to the 7th of March 2026. Actually, what's today's date? 10th, yes, the 10th of March 2026, if agreed today. And that the reasons for that extension are listed, and we've also produced a document to support this. I have issued out a proposal number 3 to the proposals listed. I don't know, would anybody who hasn't got a copy just let me know? Have you got a copy, Chair? You got a copy?
What's that?
Have you got a copy of the additional proposal that I will be proposing? So 1, 2.
Not then.
No, I'll give it to you now. So really, that's just clarity of the of the financial arrangements. So well, we need to go to discussion, and then I'll make the proposal 1, 2, 3. Thank you. Did you get a copy?
Yes.
No, there's an additional statement, which is
I'll take one to the councillor.
get everyone out.
That's fine. I'm sure you're doing a good job of reading it out anyway. So, would anyone like to make a comment at this point?
I'll say something
Oh,
quickly.
go ahead, Councillor Wadsworth.
I haven't got a problem with it. I'm just a bit worried about, at the bottom we've got 15 hours, 20 hours, 25 hours in proposal 2. So really she could even be full time, because we're not actually stating how many hours she's going to work a week.
The proposal does. Or it infers from the amount.
20 hours.
20 hours, sorry. I can clarify that. The proposal is...
Yeah, I can see that there, but it's also not in
agreed.
number 2.
But it is in number 3, which we didn't get up till now. But that was the staffing committee's recommendation.
Councillor Brooks, you have an observation? Question? Go ahead.
They're finished.
We're
I don't want
finished.
to be in trouble. Yeah, I'm a bit confused because we've been handed proposal 3, which basically says that we're going to give the lady 25 hours. Is that
20
hours?
20.
But in proposal 2, we're being given a choice. It's almost as if we're being led to go with that proposal number 3, which I don't think we should be. The other issue, which was raised but not raised this evening, was that why haven't we advertised? Well, I've done a lot of research into this, and we don't have to advertise, unfortunately, but we could open ourselves up to other laws which govern employment, such as the Equality Act and things, because I fully understand that the position was temporary in the absence of our clerk, who's better, because he's here this evening. So it is like a new job to me, rather than an extension, because will we be extending it again in 6 months? But I also find it extraordinary, because we've been in this position before, and I've got to be careful what I say because someone's here, but the job description seems to be doing things which were the job description of a member of staff that we currently employ. But I'll move on quickly from that. I have concerns by the report saying that it looks like they'd possibly be working on the potential move to Victoria Hall. Now, to me, that is a strong conflict of interest, because our temporary admin assistant is employed by both organisations, which is nothing wrong with that, but I would want some assurance before I agreed for this extension that our admin assistant, who's doing a lot of good work, doesn't have any involvement with the goings-on with Victoria Hall, because she's paid by them and she's paid by us. So I will shut up now.
Thank you very much. I'd like to come back if I may. Just, if you read the proposal 3, I recognise you've only just had it, but it does actually say procurement requirements have been met, and as advised by LRAC, there is no obligation to re-advertise. So we asked the question beforehand, and the second point about the conflict of interest, would you like to answer that, please, Clark?
Okay.
or potentially.
Obviously, I've had this question asked of me multiple times. There are people who've got more than one job, and our administrative assistant is one of those who's got more than one jobs. And I know solicitors are in the same situation. They have multiple jobs with multiple clients, and there are all kinds of conflicts that can occur with those when you've got more than that. I can assure you that Melanie will be clearly defined in her roles, and there will be no conflict of interest. And that is my job as the town clerk, to ensure that at no stage does she in any way feel compromised in her position in her role at Victoria Hall as it stands. Because her role in Victoria Hall is simply to organise and keep running Victoria Hall. And I see no conflict in that and what we're doing here as Oakham Town Council.
Can I just come back one last point?
No, we can't.
On an answer to that quickly.
There was
got to
no
be a
question.
point of order.
There was no question there, Councillor Brooks, and I think we've debated that sufficiently. So I will encourage you then, Councillor Ainsley, if you'd like to make your, if you'd like to voice.
Yes, the proposal. I've just scribbled all over it. Just give me a second. So it's exactly as written, proposal for 1 and 2. Does anybody want me to read that out, or are you quite happy to accept that? I'm quite happy to read out proposal 3, which says that Oakham Town Council authorises the expenditure of £8,060 from reserves to extend the contract for the office admin assistant until the 7th of March 2026. This decision complies with the Oakham Town Council financial regulations and the Local Government Act 1972 and 2003 procurement requirements have been met, and as advised by LRAT, there's no obligation to advertise. The responsible financial officer confirms that the decision is compliant with Oakham Town Council's financial regulations, that reserves are adequate, and this is a non-recurring drawdown. That this non-recurring drawdown supports continuity of council operations during the period of staffing transition. Salary will be paid monthly by electronic transfer, requiring a minimum of 2 signatories. So I'm proposing 1, 2 and 3.
Can I just point out an error, please?
An error.
Very quickly, Councillor.
I'm under the understanding that Lloyds Bank require 3 signatories, not 2.
Currently. By all means, we accept amendments
And I think our financial regulations
2.
say 3.
So shall we, are you proposing then, Councillor Ainsley, number 1, or
1, 2 and 3.
On block, really?
On block, if that's okay with everybody. Yeah.
Do we have a seconder? Oh, Councillor Wadsworth, thank you very much. All those in favour of that, those proposals? Thank you very much. All those against? 1.
You want that recorded, Martin?
No.
Okay, that is carried. Item 11, unfortunately, did not come out in the electronic packs, so we're not at this time able to review that one. So we shall move directly on to item number 12, which is the urgent decision protocol as brought by Councillor Town Clerk.
Right.
Councillor?
Yep.
It didn't go out. So you want me to stand?
Yeah, go
Okay. Well, it's yours, that's Chris, isn't it?
Sorry,
Yeah, I was going to say,
It's Chris's.
town clerk on here, not.
You can do what I don't have to stand. Right, obviously, this is regards when we have a situation where we have an urgent decision protocol that is needed to be made. So in other words, where something has come up which cannot be immediately, even if we call an extraordinary meeting, there's a 3 working days, so it's a week before we can have a full council meeting of any description to make at that council. So instead of that happening and the embarrassment that can be caused by having to conform to standing orders and financial regulation, we require now instead that the town clerk is consults with the mayor and the chair, relevant committees, all the group leaders, made certain that these are urgent decisions, outlines the decision and rationale for doing that, and then retrospectively submit what had to happen as an urgent decision to the next full council meeting that occurs. So it's going to be, the proposal is, and obviously I can't propose it, so it'll have to be Councillor Paul Ainsley, is that Council adopts the urgent decision protocol as a supplementary procedure under Standing Order 415. In support of the new protocol, the new clause under Standing Order 15B is added as follows. In exceptional circumstances where a decision is required before the next scheduled meeting and an extraordinary meeting is impractical, the proper officer may act under delegated authority following consultation with the Mayor and the relevant committee chairs and must report the decision to the next full council meeting. So I am obviously also the proper officer, just in case people don't know.
Councillor Lewis.
Yeah, I did email in about this, but again, no response. There is nothing wrong with having this, but what is an emergency? Now, a few years ago, maybe 10 years ago, I took up training with the LRAC. There is such a thing as councillors training, but we don't do that here. And Jake, who no longer is with the LRAC, said there is no such thing as an emergency at a parish council. All decisions have to be made at your meetings or an extra meeting. So my thing is here, what is an urgent decision? That's going to be open to a lot of fighting, the way we behave at the moment, all of us. But also it's contradictory and not even making sense. But I did check, there are some councils that have this policy for some reason. We had something similar and it was removed under the instruction of the auditors back in Alf Lewis's time, because it was the impression that it was almost like a subcommittee of this council. We have a contradiction, because when the clerk says there's an emergency, it might be that a tree falls down into Station Road and I need to spend some money. Well, that should cover in maintenance, but if it didn't, he should consult all members of the council, because we cannot conduct business, as we found out lately, via email. It is the clerk, it's a loophole in the laws that govern us. It's the clerk who will make an informed decision from all members' input. But we're being asked here, basically, in this report, that it be group leaders, whatever they are, and nominated councillors, which to me is not good. But then, when we're asked to amend our standing order, there's no mention in proposal number 2 of any councillors being consulted. It's just saying that they consult with the chairman and relevant committee chairs. So that's wrong, and we need to get to the situation, do we need this emergency power? And do we have an understanding that actually the clerk, if there is an emergency, needs to consult all of us to make that decision? And that's what most other councils that I've looked up and found say in their thing. It's not really highly advisable to go down this road.
Councillor Ainsley.
I'm Councillor Brooks. I'd just like to point out a couple of things. One is that this is not an emergency, it's urgent. And then the purpose within the guide says to guide urgent decision making when full council or committee meetings cannot be convened in time, ensuring legality, transparency and consultation. And it goes on. And that reference in the that's going to be placed within the standing order obviously refers to the urgent decision protocol, and that will be the heading that sits above it. So there is a link between the two.
Thank you. I just think it's a real shame that we have to have this paper, and I would have thought there might be other ways that we may be able to come to agreeing a decision without another policy or another protocol. So I just wonder whether we ought to go away and think, is there another way that we could do this rather than having another protocol?
Anything off the top of your head presently?
Well, I mean, I'm picking up Councillor Brooks' point. I just think there may be other ways that we could do this. I know we were told we couldn't have a vote on emails. So maybe there is another way, and whether there's a conversation that can be had. It seems to me it's just another another piece of paper that we have to follow that just gets in the way of running the council. There ought to be another way that we can deal with urgent decision rather than having another paper to do it.
Councillor, could I just respond?
Oh, sorry, may I just also say, I'm assuming this is okay from a legal point of view?
Yes.
Because that's the other thing that concerns me. Are we allowed to do this?
Yes, you are.
We are.
Okay, just can I just quickly, because obviously I know we need to move on. This is an urgent decision protocol. Technically, and I've been councillor for 25, 30 years of parishes as well as boroughs, email decisions are made routinely in parish councils because of the situation. Some of them only have a meeting once every 6 months, and therefore the only way they can conduct business really in that time when they're doing that kind of thing is by email decisions. If you're asking me, is that legal? In the Arnold Baker book and all the rest of it, no. And there is no alternative unless you have it in your regulations. And this is what me and Councillor Paul Ainsley are deciding. If we want to be made certain not pulled up for making an urgent decision which has not gone through council, I mean, as Councillor Brooks pointed out, I could go and ask questions of councillors, but even if they responded and all said yes, technically, I could not do that decision under our present terms and conditions.
Thank you.
Can I make an amendment to the
Yes, I do.
proposal? Sorry.
Right, I don't like the way the paper is put. An urgent decision. So it's not really a health and safety issue or anything like that. Whereas if a tree fell down, it's a health and safety issue, then the park has got to make that decision that we go and get that tree picked up. But I really don't see why we need to have this. Like Councillor Clark has said, it's just another piece of paper, just to try and clarify yourself. But I don't think it's necessary.
Can I make an amendment to the proposal number 2? And I don't think this should ever be used, but will probably at some stage. I would accept it if the standing orders very clearly say that everybody on this council is consulted by the clerk.
Can I just...
And that's because to me we becoming like, and reminds me of the days when I was in the parish council of the church. We had fighting because of subcommittees.
Let's keep the...
And we don't want to be in the situation where we hear at the next meeting that the chairman has made a decision with the clerk and we don't agree with it. But it's going to cause a lot of problems. So we need consultation. So that's what my amendment, if I just put my amendment that it's added into that standing order that all members are consulted by the clerk.
All available.
Yeah.
Yeah, if they don't answer their email, well, you know, they've been asked for an opinion, because we can't legally, as you just pointed out, give a vote or a decision on it. We can give our opinion, and you are taking the decision with. No, it's the final decision lays with you.
It does, yes.
Even the chairman's not allowed to make the decision. So I need before I can accept this, I need to amend that, and hopefully the council will agree to that.
So you want prior consultation
With all members, which is what I found on many other parish councils that have this.
I've got no problem with that.
Councillor,
But it does...
I just want to briefly say in response to Martin that the words I was going to come up with are that the Protestant may act under delegated authority following consultation with the Mayor and relevant committee chairs and all other available members.
Yeah, that would be,
Yeah.
super.
yeah. And if they miss their email, well, it's a bit tough, isn't it?
Well, that's why it's difficult to phrase that, but all other members, yes, I can.
So that's my proposal, C.
Fantastic. Do you have a question?
No, I would support it.
Right, fantastic.
As an amendment,
Yeah, I've written it here.
you're the proposal, but are you accepting, you're
You're
not the proposer yet, are you?
No, so Martin's going to propose the amendment which I've just read out.
And you
he
seconded
did.
it.
I'll second it, yes.
Yeah.
Is that what we're doing?
If we're doing it a little bit back to front. Let's go to item number 1 first, or are we doing it on block? What's it?
Do it on block.
Do it on block then. Very good. So the proposal as written and outlined by Councillor Ainsley, and that the council adopt this protocol.
Proposed by Councillor Brooks, seconded by me,
Very
and
good.
that's down to the
All those
vote.
in favour? And those against? Would you like that recorded, Councillor?
Not necessarily, but that can be
Carried.
That has carried.
I have the same feeling, so but I just wanted to get it moved on.
Right, so that's item 12, number 13. Councillor Ainsley, everyone else?
Yeah, sorry, I think we're doing rather a lot. This was created in an attempt to actually help our new councillors and indeed some of our more experienced councillors, give them guidance on how we might submit the submission of meeting papers to be read out at meetings. So, and it's just whether we endorse the adoption of a councillor submission guide, which is what has been proposed.
Sally Ann.
Go ahead, sorry. It's
So I'm just going to
apologies.
wake up.
It's a delightful dance.
Right, I haven't got a problem with the paper, but my issue is that it does say send to the clerk. And we've been told we're not allowed to send anything to the clerk, we've got to send it to the inquiries. So,
Oh, okay, we can amend that to
No.
say the clerk or inquiries, yeah.
Or the office.
Send to the office. We can make that amendment, can't we?
Thank you very much for your keen eye there,
Thank
Councillor
you.
Watford.
You accept it?
Yes.
Councillor Brooks, you have an observation?
Then maybe we have to amend all our instructions in all our policies that say that we should direct our communications to the clerk.
Well, we're aware of the situation as it stands. I think it would be a bit of a fruitless endeavour to go back through absolutely every single one of our policies and procedures and make that amendment. But I think going forward, if we acknowledge that, that's probably best practice.
Yep.
Councillor Ainsley.
If I may, I just want to make a very quick point that actually we're hoping that this is very much a temporary measure for guiding.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Lovely. Any further questions from the floor? No? Lovely. So, Councillor Ainsley, would you care to make your proposal?
Yeah, my proposal is as written.
Lovely.
With the amendment, I'm so sorry, Councillor Brooks, with the amendment that, I'll put it to them, that all available members will be consulted.
no,
Oh, sorry. Oh, I meant to say the office. Yes, I'm sorry. Thanks.
So that's
We need a
proposed
second.
That's proposed by Councillor Ainsley, seconded by Councillor Clark. All those in favour? That is unanimous. 14. Thank you. The Oakham Town Council Action Plan.
Me again, I'm
Councillor
afraid.
Ainsley.
Yeah, thank you. You should all have got a copy of the Oakham Town Centre Action Plan, as you're well aware, that this is actually created by RCC using UK SPF funds. Was produced in March 2025. The proposal is simply that Oakham Town Council formally endorses the Oakham Town Centre Action Plan as the strategic framework for town centre improvements. It's just proposed that we accept as a framework, and that the council notes the £40,000 UK SPF award for 2025. I don't intend to talk any more about that, it's all in the proposal, so if you've done your homework, we should be able to pass that very quickly, hopefully.
Splendid.
Can I please make everybody aware that all spend has to be completed by the 31st of March 2026, not 2025, we cannot spend it backwards. All dates should read 2026 and not 2025.
Motion approved. Thank you.
You accept
Can
that
I just
amendment?
ask a question about something, well, it's not completely different.
Sorry, Sally, I believe Councillor Clark's
Oh, sorry.
In which case, carry on.
The money that we used for UK, SPF, whatever, last year, has it actually been transferred or paid to whomever? Because I noticed we've still got it on our budget that we've paid out things like the toilets. But surely we were getting some money from this FDF thing.
Right. Oh, it's a fascinating explanation of all of this, Councillor Sally Ann. As you know, you halfway through got this dumped on us. as it were. Not that it's a bad thing, but the situation is now changed, and it changed during last financial year. The situation is we obviously have to get authorisation for these funds to be spent, and they have to be approved projects. So obviously we can't just spend it on anything that we like. However, what happens is, and it was only sort of, I think it was February, March last year, that suddenly Haley, the officer from Rutland County Council, said, and we're transferring it to your bank. And I went, that wasn't the agreement before, it was the agreement that we spend the money and then claim the money back. So suddenly 50,000 last year appeared in our bank, and we had to get the invoices, get them authorised, signed by Haley, and then we did it. The same will almost certainly therefore happen this year. We haven't got the money yet, but we are obviously going to put via the finance committee or the finance team, we will put together approved projects for this financial year. And although a lot of people sitting outside of the council would say you've got tons of time, I can assure you this is already September, and we need to not only get the projects together, but get the invoices and get it paid by March the 31st, 2026, as the Finance Chair said.
Councillor Ainsley,
Yeah, I just want to say that question was actually directed at 2025. I know there's confusion. This was actually for 2026. So this is it's 24-25 for the spend on the previous UKS year.
And if anybody wants to see where the spend is, I've got a spreadsheet.
So the proposal is actually, and I do apologise, is actually it's for FY financial year
40k this year.
Exactly this year.
Councillor Brooks.
Yeah, I'm pleased to see we're getting this money again, and obviously the time scale. And I'm aware that probably this has been discussed in the defunct finance committee, because there was an exempt item where capital projects were discussed, but I don't understand why council business like that would be exempt. But what I would like is an assurance that we're not going to leave this to the last minute, because we know we're going to get it. So could we have some assurance that there's going to be some proper looking into how we spend this, because we spent money on just cleaning the streets, extraordinary sums of money. And then we had this wonderful spring fair, which was put together really quickly at the last minute. And I think yes, it is September, but it's October, November, December, January, February, March, 6 months.
Yep, it doesn't.
So please, could we, yes, 6 months, well, I know through when I asked things to happen at the council years go by. But could we not have, not just the finance working group working on this, we all be involved, because I'm sure we've all got suggestions of how the money could be spent better than it probably was last time.
Well, that's all of our prerogative, yes, certainly.
I can give you assurance that as we speak, we are trying to put together a budget, and a budget that includes the 40k with proper authorisation.
So, concludes conversation. On block, Councillor Ainsley?
Yes, please, yeah.
Very good.
Need a second.
Yes, here. So, proposed by Councillor Ainsley, seconded by Councillor Douthwaite. All those in favour of accepting the proposal on block? That carried. All those against, sorry? And abstaining?
Abstaining.
I've just received it, so.
Yes. Very well. We now have item number 15. You want to tee us off, Councillor Brooks? Your paper on Martin's Law.
Yes, I'm not sure that I titled it that, but yes, cuts close.
Compliance with Martin's Law at Cuts Close.
Yeah, and I mean, it's, Melanie is back in here now, so I'll thank her, because she made my paper look good, because she included relevant documents. I believe it was you who included the things which I failed to put in, so thank you for that. She's looking puzzled.
I think it might have been Councillor Ainsley, to be fair.
Oh, Councillor Ainsley. Thank you, Councillor Ainsley.
I still wouldn't say it looks good though.
We're on
It's an improvement.
Okay. Well, it's all there basically, and what I'm trying to do is to get the council to start the work, because this is obviously going to become law that we have to protect the people at public events. And to me, it's not, somebody said to me, oh, we don't have to shut the gate, because it would never happen in Oakham. I'm sure every town that's had an incident probably said the same thing. But, I went down there at a recent event, and because the person couldn't be bothered to find out the code for the gate, there were children on the skate park, and they actually drove a van towing a trailer all the way through the park past the skate park. So, if they can do that with that, anybody with bad intentions could do it. So I don't want to go through a long time. I've given this report of what I believe the council could do. I know one councillor thinks we should have railings with the other concrete, but I put bollards as a suggestion, and obviously one of them would have to be like at the churchyard, where it could be removed for maintenance purposes. But I think I've given quite a detailed report on it, and I can't really say much more than what I've written in the report, but it's something that doesn't have to be rushed, but there is going to be a legal obligation on us. I think it was at 2027, but councils, I will point out, when we're having events, the county council is asking for these. Mr. Ainsley will remember the spring event, and he turned to me and said, gosh, aren't these vans horrible in front of the road closure signs? Well, that was because it was of this coming in that we have to have barricades to stop the risk of somebody driving into people.
Spent the afternoon on the phone with Historic England. So my first question is, what do Historic England say about this? Because Cuts Close is a scheduled monument.
Well, we know that, but
you can't put bollards on a scheduled monument without going through Historic England.
Well, yeah.
Also, the terrorist threat level for England is, or for England, sorry, the United Kingdom and Northern Ireland is substantial. There is no specific threat level for the East Midlands, for Oakham, or for Rutland and Leicestershire. There is also no specific information on the capacity of Cuts Close. There is no specific information on the visitor numbers to Cuts Close. So it's all to do with risk assessment. So what risk assessment have you got for an attack on Oakham? And what specific threats are there in Oakham and Rutland? And also the security measures that are in place includes the training, the information boards and the plans of what to do should a terrorist attack happen. Have you got those set up?
Why is the councillor asking me those questions? That's for the office. They're not my questions. We do have risk assessment forms that are filled out when we have events, but that's not my responsibility.
But you want to put bollards on a scheduled monument?
Yes.
Can't do.
Which we can do.
You can do, but you've got to jump through a number of hoops.
We have to pay £500 for each hole that's dug.
Yeah, so, you'd have to go through Historic England. But it was just the case that, we've got, you're talking as if it's an imminent attack. Well, it's not, it's only substantial.
Well, I'm not suggesting that there is an imminent attack.
But if you want to have security measures at Cuts Close, one of your bollards you want to put on a footpath, I take it you'll be extending the footpath because the bollard placement would stop a wheelchair user going down the path.
We already have that situation on a temporary thing that was put in 2012. But there was a bollard in that position originally, but someone knocked it over.
You would also have to ensure that, well, no, it's all right. Thank you.
Please, Councillor.
Am I allowed to just come back on it?
Hang on.
Because I was asked questions and I just want to answer one
You will be given
point.
the opportunity.
Yeah, I just want to answer one point why.
Councillor Ainsley was first.
Yeah, thanks.
Sorry.
I'd just like to remind everybody this actually is about the proposal for the office to seek quotes. So all the thing points that have been raised are relevant, but I think that, so I would like to propose an amendment to the proposal. The council agrees to direct the office to seek quotes for the cost of the compliance with Martin's Law. I think that's, and that the matter would then be returned to council, and that consultation with relevant bodies will be undertaken, and that would include Historic England, and I also concur, I pulled off an assessment guide checklist that needs to be considered by them. But I'd like to propose that amendment.
Lovely.
Thank you.
Councillor Watford.
Falling aside, I'd just like to state this is something that Mark Andrews from Rutland County Council has brought up on many occasions, that we need to put things in place in case of terrorist attacks.
Yeah.
And regardless of whether you've got low reports in Oakham, Rutland, the
Chief
Chief Executive of RCC has led us to believe that we need to put these things into place so that we don't become a terrorist spot because we haven't got anything in the background.
Personally, for what my viewpoint is worth, I think that Councillor Ainsley's suggested amendment covers an awful lot of bases on this and gives us a lot more scope as a council to discuss this intelligently rather than being pigeonholed into deciding on one particular methodology. So I think that's an astute observation there from Paul. Thank you.
I don't know whether it's relevant at this time, but picking up the point about what and where, I do think that the extending the fence, the current fencing, and making that round the car park at the bottom of the in Burley Road would be much more sensible and adequate rather than having lots of bollards over the place.
Councillor Ainsley's amendment gives us the scope to discuss that at length.
Yes.
Councillor Brooks.
I think we've got the ball rolling, and there's a lot of questions from the council who are not relevant to me, and I don't say that in a disrespectful way. I was going to mention what Sally Ann said, because I have seen, I went to a fair in the village where the top of the Range Rovers had been instructed to park in front of road closed signs by Rutland County Council. So councils up and down the land and insurance companies are already, because it's gone through Royal Charter, is that what it said, are asking for these safety measures to be put in place. So I did the paper because it's to start the ball rolling, and I'm completely open to any changes. Now what I will point out to Chris Clark is that I've since found out, and I've looked myself, there used to be railings which went all the way along to the edge of the car park. I don't know whether they went on the other part where the trees that don't have the correct archaeological and heritage thing, the oak trees. I don't know whether there was something there, but the reason the barriers, whatever you call them, railings, were removed there is because a car hit them directly like that. So we cannot, that's why I chose to show a line going across and joining down there so that the council can't, because I know they have strict rules about bollards being away from the traffic by about a metre because a local shop put bollards on their property and they have to take them off. So it would be the same with a railing. You would have the railing going down at an angle. But anyway,
this affords us the opportunity to discuss.
But I would like a repeat of Councillor Ainsley's amendment.
Very good.
And
I do that now.
And I think it would be an ongoing project.
The council agrees to direct the office to seek quotes for the cost of compliance with Martin's Law and or consultation with relevant bodies. This matter will then be returned to council for consideration and possible approval once the quotes are obtained.
Splendid.
I would accept that.
Oh, well, it's a bum fight for it, but Councillor Wadsworth was quick on the draw, so go ahead. All those in favour?
Thank goodness.
That is unanimous. Bravo. Thank you.
Have you got that copy?
We've got 2 years to sort it.
Right. So, moving on to item 16. We are on item number 16, and I'm going to propose that the council moves once again out of standing orders to facilitate a robust conversation with some interested parties that have joined us. Do I have a second? Councillor Ainsworth is first on the draw. All those in favour? Thank you very much. Councillor Clark?
Sorry,
Councillor Nichols?
Yes.
Thank you.
You're carried.
Lovely, so now outside of our standing orders. Councillor Ainsley, can I leave you to introduce
Shall we
this?
go into private session or just?
Not at this point.
It's just an open public session.
So the way that we'll look at this, guys, if you've got anything that you feel that is, generally we're trying to maintain and promote openness and transparency for the record and public, public. If there is anything that you consider particularly contentious or would seriously prejudice any decision making, please say so ahead of time, and we will look to go into an exempt session for that time. Is that okay?
Because at the moment it's being recorded.
Thank you very much. Councillor Ainsley.
Sure. I'd really like to get these poor people speaking as soon as possible. So, I think this is a momentous decision that we're trying to make tonight, and there's an awful lot of things that we need to consider. The proposal is as read, but I think the first thing, I think we need to give opportunity for the trustees of Victoria Hall, who very kindly come along tonight, to say their piece, and then if you're happy to accept questions from the floor, thank you very much. And hopefully, although this was presented to us on Monday, hopefully everybody got a copy of the Oakham Town Council discussion paper that was very kindly provided by Tom, and and that's it. I'll hand over the floor for the chairman's request to the trustees.
Absolutely.
Can I just ask, when are we going to be discussing with it about the £10,000 consultant?
As soon as they've made their presentation, then we'll go into discussion and then we'll do the proposal.
Okay,
We'll go
it's just
back.
that it's not-
No. Yeah, thank you.
You said you suspended standing orders.
You can put it back on.
For 2 minutes.
Just Tom, please. Thank you. Go ahead.
Thank you. Hopefully you've had a chance to review the paper that I presented yesterday. I think there are two key, distinct but interrelated points that I'll open with. For some time now, the cash flow of Victoria Hall has been under pressure, and this predates me joining as a trustee and subsequently becoming chairman. More recently, the hall was hit quite hard by COVID. Lost some bookings that couldn't return. I think the abortive Keno project also hit it quite hard. There were bookings that were closed off pending that project coming forward, which didn't, I don't need to dwell on the reasons for that, but hopefully I don't think it was viable, it didn't happen. I don't think the hall's ever fully recovered from that. More recently, the breakdown of the heating system hit us extremely hard over the autumn and winter season last year. But for many years, the cash flow has not provided sufficient surplus income to enable the trustees to keep up with maintenance of what is now a 175-year-old building. As a separate point, so that's my first key distinct point, is capital expenditure. The second point is that we're now at a point where the cash flow doesn't support the day-to-day running of the hall. Income has dwindled, costs have gone up, that's been well reported, utilities, insurance, maintenance, all of these essential day-to-day running costs as opposed to capital expenditure have increased, where we're now at a point where we are facing a negative cash flow situation quite imminently. And we're also at a point where the physical state of the hall, I think, is impacting our ability to accommodate certain new bookings, to generate new bookings, to drive that income forward. So as a body of trustees, we've arrived at a point where we've got to make really a once and for all decision on whether there is a route to save the hall as a key community asset for Oakham and the people of Rutland, or alternatively we face the sad but unavoidable decision to close the hall, and in accordance with due process laid out by the Charities Commission and in consultation with them, we would be seeking to sell the hall, and the proceeds would then be directed at the Charities Commission behest. We might have some say in where they would go, but ultimately that would be the Charities Commission decision. So this situation has led us to investigate with Oakham Town Council whether there's a situation where the council could move into the hall, use it for its own occupation, use it for these council sessions. And I think the financial position for an owner-occupier, if I can call it that, is fundamentally different. There are some economy of scale costs. One of the key costs for us is staffing. If you look at the amount of our deficit, actually it's the staff costs which account for quite a lot of that, and you just cannot run this building unstaffed. The trustees are volunteers, most of whom have got pretty busy full-time jobs and other commitments in their lives. They cannot be expected to deal with the day-to-day admin, although we find ourselves doing that to quite a significant extent, but that is just simply not sustainable, I don't think. I know it's not sustainable for me personally as chairman to carry on in the executive capacity that I have been over the last year. But I think if the council were to occupy the hall with staff being based at the hall, particularly if there were a move to a venue manager, town centre manager, town centre promotion role being in place with the funding for that, that marginally alleviates that staff cost pressure and actually probably from the outset puts the cash flow broadly into a neutral position. Beyond that, with appropriate investment, actually I think we can move forwards. I say we collectively. The proposal is that Oakham Town Council would become sole trustee, but I'm suggesting that it might be appropriate to put together some sort of advisory committee to enable existing trustees and new volunteers and members to join that, to bring forward a breadth of experience across the charity sector, the commercial sector, all of the experience the trustees bring to bear to move things forward, drive income forward, and I think there's a significant opportunity there. Unfortunately, we've run out of time now to do that. We've done everything over the last year. We've really kept a very, very tight control on cash flow. I personally run a very large commercial property business. I'm responsible for a £10 million facilities budget. I've pulled every lever possible to keep the costs to a minimum. There are some things you can't avoid. You can't avoid utilities, you can't avoid insurance, you can't avoid routine maintenance, you can't avoid staffing events that have to be staffed from a health and safety and insurance point of view. That's where we find ourselves, but the new website is starting to generate more inquiries, particularly encouragingly wedding bookings. I think that's a big potential opportunity for the hall and probably the highest charging event that the hall can accommodate. We're in a difficult position where we don't want to accept bookings next year because we can't, in all good conscience, do that and then let down people at short notice within the context of arranging a wedding, and suddenly they've got to find somewhere else. We've also recently let one of the ground floor rooms to a dog groomer. That's an additional source of income that we hadn't allowed for. I think if the council were to use the upstairs hall for these formal council meetings, which I think makes more sense logistically for storage of furniture and suitability of the space, because it's already a substantial size to accommodate that function. That then frees up the two rooms to the right-hand side of the front door, one of which is currently let to a pop-up shop. The other is used as the meeting room, which Barclays have been using for their meetings with customers following the closure of the Barclays Bank. So there's some strong income potential there in the short term, like strong income potential in the medium term, but we do now need that capital investment, and we need to put the charity on a sound day-to-day cash flow footing in order to move things forward.
Thank you very much, Tom. From a number of us, I think, have been trustees on Victoria Hall in our time, and thank you for your stewardship in what is an incredibly difficult situation with the hall. It is a very, very difficult and unenviable situation. I think you've done remarkably well to keep everything going as long as you have even. Yes, I'll invite some comment from the floor, Councillor Ainsley.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I'd like to echo those thoughts. Thank you very much indeed for all the work that has been done. It says, Tom, have you made any progress regarding Oakham School and lean-to that we call a bar?
Not yet.
Okay, but have you got engagement?
Yes, so I've got engagement with their Chief Operating Officer.
Right, okay.
So there is no one there who remembers back to, I'm guessing, the 1970s probably, when that extension was built.
Yeah.
Chief Operating Officer now will be looking into that to see if it's evident from their deeds. Unfortunately, because the hall is so old, it's not actually got its title registered at the Land Registry. So we haven't got a record to confirm what.
So we haven't got anywhere yet, but
we are engaged with the Chief Operating Officer though.
Can I ask a supplementary question to that, which is that if that were to be demolished, what would be the impact on the hall? What would we lose?
You would lose the bar servery.
Right, okay, so I'm thinking now, so the bar service, okay.
So the bit of the hall that sits in that first floor is the bar counter backwards.
Yeah.
However, the worst case legal position, I believe, is that we would have a claim to adverse possession.
Okay.
Because we can undoubtedly prove that the hall has been occupying that space for 10 years as the relevant period. So we can definitely prove that. I suggest it probably goes back more like 50 years.
But if the worst of the worst were to come, it would basically lose the bar, is that what we're saying?
You just bring the circuit forward.
Okay. Thank you very much for that. And can I ask a couple more, or does somebody else want to have a go?
Carry on.
Okay,
Yeah,
so... I love the idea of the charity stroke OTC structure, and I love the idea of engaging the expertise of the trustees. Is that something that you both would wish to consider? If we would?
Yes.
Okay. And that would be as a... Well, we'll have to discuss all of this with our experts as we go forward, but the actual structure of it all, but you would... I just would love to see you continue.
So I'm using the term advisory committee.
Yes.
Because I don't think, well, we could not have an executive or voting right. The whole point here is the council would become sole trustee. But, you know, we've been working very hard as a group of trustees to try and keep the show on the road.
Yeah.
And we'd like to see things move forward.
Great, thank you. I'm pleased with that. And the last question you'll all be glad to know is you've got a bullet point here which says we have obtained confirmation from the Charities Commission that we do not need its consent to vary our constitution to enable OTC to become sole trustee. That seems a remarkably simple process. And that's the advice you've had from the Charity Commission. We would obviously have to do diligence ourselves, that's the process.
We had a call on Thursday last week with the Charities Commission, talked through the situation, told them what we were hoping we might be able to achieve, and the advice is it would be a vote by the current trustees to vary the constitution to enable that to happen.
So vary the constitution, which says something in support of farmers, doesn't it, I think? And then also to actually hand over sole trusteeship.
We only asked, so that confirmation relates to the sole trusteeship point.
Okay.
We haven't asked them about varying the constitution.
There's an awful lot of work we all
in
need to do.
respect to the agricultural promotion point, but I think we all accept that what was relevant 175 years ago when, I was trying to find this out today, something between 50 and 80% of Rutland's population were engaged in agriculture, and now in the East Midlands it's 0.68%. Let's say it's slightly higher in Rutland, maybe it's 1% of a workforce of approximately 24,000, there are maybe 250 people working in agriculture in Rutland. They are also, of course, represented by the Rutland Agricultural Society, established slightly before us in 1839, but they also operated at a deficit last financial year, and that's despite £75,000 worth of income from investments. So I think the whole agricultural promotion piece is really sort of rooted in the past rather than being appropriate for this century.
Yeah, I concur. Well, that's the end of my question for now. Thank you.
Councillor Brooks.
Hi. When you mentioned the use of the upstairs as the council chamber, I didn't hear, and I was listening, the office, because we do need an office.
So the suggestion is, I think the preference would be that the office could sit in the left-hand room downstairs, which we've currently got the beautician sitting in. But alternatively, if it were more suitable, it could sit in the right-hand space, which is the small room at the front, the meeting room behind, which has got a fairly lightweight stud work partition, non-structural. So whether it's desirable to have it as 2 rooms with interconnecting doors, whether it's desirable to take them all out, the council would sit in one or the other of those ground floor spaces.
Because we have 3 staff now, you might have gathered that, so they need space.
Well, the rooms are about
But then if we're going
450 square feet, so
if we were going to be sole trustee, we would probably decide it ourselves. There was a point about the bar where lots of people make this mistake that they've assumed that they've got ownership of land because no one's claimed it, in the sense of it's Oakham School disputed or whatever. When I worked for St George's Church in Bloomsbury, we had a publisher next door who opened up access onto the churchyard, and I was heavily involved in getting that access closed. It took a year, but legally you can't assume, and you have to prove that you've made efforts to trace the ownership of the land that's being questioned.
we know who owns the land, Oakham School, anyway.
Yeah, but and what I'm saying is that you can't just assume. There is no such thing. People misassume it, that there is a time limit for things, that it becomes not an issue. There isn't such a thing. That's what I was trying to say. Anyway, sorry, I'll go on. I won't read all these questions. I did email them to you, but I was looking today online again at the accounts that have been submitted and the reports. You're not listed this year as anything on the Charity Commission website. So my question is, are you the chairman? And I'm not being funny, because the accounts that are submitted, 74 days late I believe, are signed by Dave Graham.
Because he was the chairman for that financial year.
But then we had the issue when you came to the council in this same situation in 2023, where Peter Jones had signed them off, and he hadn't been for, what, 5 years? So this is where I get a bit, and in 2023 apparently you didn't pay any wages, is that right? That's on this account submitted now. It says that you pay no wages, but you've told us that that is your biggest expense, which I don't dispute.
I'm just
So
wondering the relevance, sorry, can I just...
Well, it's quite relevant because you're coming to us saying that you're broke, which I accept. But when I look at things, I'm seeing things that don't add up in what's being published. You know, there's trustees.
I can confirm that
listed.
our accounts have been audited and that we're compliant with all our governance and charity obligations.
So you didn't pay anyone in 2023?
I'm not going to go into details of accounts at the moment because I haven't got them in front of me.
No, we might well not have done.
Okay, that's fine.
I
But
don't know, it predates me being a trustee,
Yeah.
No.
but I believe there was a period before Helen was manager when the hall didn't have staff, employed staff.
But that's 2023, it's saying on the accounts recently submitted in June. But anyway, it doesn't matter, we're just going on. But I find the whole thing, you know, I get into trouble for saying things, but I wasn't on the council when you came here last time, but I did point out some issues, and then one of your trustees wrote to me and said, I thought we were friends. And I find that is not good.
It's a bit, do you have a specific question,
No,
Councillor?
I'm just saying, I'm not being elaborate on it, but I just find it unhelpful when we're being asked to make a decision to help you. Because at the end of the day, I don't want to see the whole...
Councillor Brooks, just to try to streamline, what do you find unhelpful and what relevance is this?
And also I want to know why you only have, in your report, it says that you should have 13 trustees. We always get this thing from you that, oh, the Charity Commission says we don't have to worry about that. The original deed says that you should have more than 13. There should be
So are you
4.
suggesting that we force people to become trustees?
No, you ask them. I've never
No,
seen an advert for it. But anyway, but at the moment, according to the charity...
Not surprisingly, becoming a trustee of the Victoria Hall is not hugely attractive at the moment.
It was in the day when
I think we're in a similar boat, Tom, to be quite honest.
And we obviously can't compel Oakham Town Council to provide its 3 councillors, and Rutland County Council have actively refused to provide trustees.
Can I make a quick point
So,
about Martin's? Just a very quick point about your line of questioning.
There's only 7 trustees.
Sorry, Councillor, would you mind?
Yeah, sorry.
Just for a very quick point about your line of questioning. The fact is that if we were to adopt the proposal that is here, it's likely that trustees would be swept away. So any questions about historical context is not relevant at this time. I'm afraid it isn't.
I think
That's my view.
No, I'm not going to go on about that because I will have something to say when we come to your paper here about the consultant. So I will shut up. But I'm not happy with this coming to council.
Okay. Right. In that case, then I propose that we enter back into the bounds of our standing orders. Do we have a second there? Thank you, Councillor Clark. All those in favour? That would be unanimous. Thank you very much. So, given all the conversation, would you like to lead the
Sure.
further?
Thank you very much. I'd like to. We've all got a proposal in front of us. I just want to read out the statements in the paper because I think it's highly relevant. So, to protect against reputational, legal and financial exposure, the Council proposes to engaging a specialist consultant, which is what the actual proposal is. Their role is not merely advisory, it is protective, ensuring any decision is strategic, legally sound and aligned with our civic obligations. And I think that's particularly important. We are like lambs to the slaughter if we're not careful, and we do need expert advice. The consultant will identify key risks, outline a phased and costed plan for takeover and recommend governance structures that protect the council's interests. So they will also lead inclusive stakeholder engagement and provide support with business planning, funding strategy and public outreach. And then I've listed the deliverables. I think this is, to me, it's a no-brainer. If we are going to do justice to actually consider how we might assist the Victoria Hall, then we're going to need specialist advice. We already have motions in place that say that we are intending to move, and they haven't been rescinded, to Victoria Hall. So I think that we need to get the work underway as soon as possible, so that by the end of the I will give way. So that by the end of the year, hopefully, we will have had a fully rounded set of advice that allows us to make the decision at a subsequent meeting of council. I think it's important that we get this up. Yeah, I'm very keen to make sure that we don't abandon the hall at this time.
Thank you. Thank you very much indeed for the presentation, and I agree entirely with what Councillor Nathan is saying. My question really is £10,000 enough? Because what we don't want to do is to come back in a couple of months' time and say, oh, we need more money. So I'm not suggesting that we're profligate, but we need to be looking at all the things that we want the consultant to do, and bearing in mind that the risk both to us and to the hall as well. I just wonder whether 10,000 is sufficient, because I can just see us coming back or getting a complaint saying we spent more than £10,000 and we've got to stop. And as you say, timing is of the essence.
It is.
We need to get this done quickly.
Can I just very, very quickly, I know, I'm sorry, Mark, Councillor Brooks.
That's fine.
I just feel that there may be more than one consultant. If there's one person or one office out there that's actually got all the skills we need, then that would be wonderful. But you're quite right. I do think £10,000 is a huge sum of money, but it may well be not enough.
Sorry, when you consider we're talking about investing a huge amount of money in the building, and we're talking about the long-term future of the building as well, we just need to make sure that we're adequately supporting it.
Yeah, but
Yes, I agree. Councillor Brooks.
I don't really know what to say because we've never used a consultant before. It's a very Rutland County Council thing, which the government has said council shouldn't be using consultants. £10,000. We're told it's going to cost us £10,000 to move to the hall with IT and moving. So that's £20,000. Where's this money coming from? We keep being told, spend money on this, spend money on that. It's coming from reserves. We don't even know what our reserves are tonight. I find the background statement...
Point of order, sorry, Councillor Brooks. Unless you are prepared to stand on that, I would ask you to...
Sorry?
Unless you're prepared to stand on the fact that you don't believe the office has hold of where we are in terms of capital reserves. But ask you
Well,
to
I've
make a
asked
comment.
and they don't ever report to us.
The two things are entirely different, but carry on.
Anyway, if I've made a mistake, I apologise, but I don't think I have. In the background, Oakham Town Council has a clear responsibility to safeguard Victoria Hall as a public asset. It's not a public asset, it's a private trust. And we have no responsibility to bail out this hall. We gave them £3,000, we don't know what for, in 2023. We've just paid for the boiler and then they tell us they can't even let the hall. You know, this is taxpayers' money we're talking about. We paid £2,500 for a survey to be completed, which tells us that the hall estimated is going to cost between £200,000 and £300,000. We take on that responsibility. Who's paying for that? I don't want to pay for it. It's not my responsibility. That is the responsibility of the trustees. They may not like it, but the word trustee means trust, and they were entrusted to look after that hall. Now, their report online quite clearly states that they do not prioritise maintenance. They pay for everything else which was mentioned, the insurance. So, to me, they have caused this problem, and the taxpayers of Oakham should not be paying for this. You know, we have no responsibility of it. Yes, I don't want to see it. I've always said it, and initially when I spoke to Councillor Ainsley, when I returned to the council, before I knew what a mess the hall has become, I said, it was my suggestion that maybe we could move there and take it over and run it. But now I know the figures, it's unfair. You know, the cost to repair it is more than our precept. I tried at our last meeting to say we will support the trustees in their grant applications. It was chucked out by these members. You know, so I've tried, but I just find that I cannot support this. You know, a consultant is going to tell us it's in a poor state, it's going to cost you X amount of money. We paid for that in a survey, and it's told to us that it was a full survey, but it even wasn't full. So goodness knows what it would cost if we had a full survey completed. And I'll shut up now, Chairman. But I can't support this on the basis of the cost it's going to cost the taxpayers, not this council, the taxpayers.
My observation, Councillor Brooks, I understand your reticence to be paying that kind of money.
We don't have it.
Well, But also, we're not necessarily solely going to be expected to pay it. There are grants, there are vehicles and methodologies that we could try to raise that capital that don't necessarily come directly from the precept. So,
Well, we'll be responsible for it. If we become a sole trustee, we'll be responsible for everything from the insurance, the utilities, the business rates, everything. And that's more than here.
Councillor.
Yeah, I just want to say that, yes, it's actually community infrastructure levy, so it's nothing to do with the precept.
Yeah, but
It's
that's
actually a levy that's put on the, no, listen to me. It's actually a levy that's put onto developments, and for a whole lot of political reasons, a whole host of developments happened around Oakham where we got a very large windfall. That windfall can be used for the benefit of Victoria Hall. As for non-domestic rates, etc., 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 all of this is why we need expert advice. There's so many areas that we don't have the expertise in, and you've made your point clear on numerous occasions that you don't support us taking over ownership of the hall. That's entirely your prerogative. But this motion, and you can vote how you wish. But I'm saying that, I'll read this again. The proposal of the consultant is to protect against a reputational, legal and financial exposure. Do we know the legal position? We may well think we do. You may think you do, but I'm sure you don't. The consultant will identify key risks, outline a phased and costed plan for takeover and recommend governance structures. All of this needs to happen. It may come to the point after the consultation that we as a council say, oh no, this is too heavy. But the point is, without information, you cannot make a decision without the necessary information.
Sorry, could I just say something else about the budget? Whatever we agree to this cap doesn't mean we can spend it. We need to come back.
It's a cap.
It's a cap. They need to come back for us to agree the expenditure that we make. So simply making a higher cap doesn't mean we're going to spend it. It just means we don't have to come back and ask for more money.
Do you want to propose a figure?
Yeah, I would put 20k in, to be honest.
Shall we compromise?
Have you got a second?
Well, I don't know, but I
Or
would
whether
simply
we accept
just
it.
say this is not permission to spend 20,000. It's simply meaning that we may have to, but that each time we need to spend money, that has to come back here for approval. So that to me is the key point.
Do you accept that amendment?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, so it's accepted, it becomes a motion.
What?
That we set a cap, in the very best meaning of the word cap. Nothing else. It doesn't mean that we're going to spend
No,
it.
exactly. It doesn't just means that it's available.
So that we don't have to come backwards and
if we
forwards
need
as we consult, and every piece of expenditure will be authorised by council.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm happy with that amendment. So the scope and competitiveness.
So Councillor Ainsley has therefore proposed the item as amended. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Clark.
Could I just answer a question or point quickly on the Councillor Ainsley said I didn't know what the legal responsibilities would be. Now, it's been banded that we will become the sole trustee. That means we are responsible for everything legally. No, that's an important thing to point out.
It is, but hence why there was a consultant being authorised.
I don't see the need of a consultant. We know the whole
We've
is
just
a
told us why you
complete and
feel-
utter mess, and we are going to be legally responsible
All
for
those
their
in
debts.
favour of the item as amended? Okay, all against? One against.
Yes, please, because it's against the consultant.
Golly gee, have you got your work cut out?
That has
Eh?
carried. Sorry, go ahead. Yeah, why not?
It might be more than one consultant.
Yes,
exactly.
It almost certainly will.
That's the point I think I was making, is that
Yeah.
it won't be one person, and that's why we
Get
need
the
to
right
have
people.
that wiggle room.
Yeah.
And you may be one of them. Oh no, you'd have better interest, wouldn't you, given your expertise.
Spectacular. Well, well done everyone. Thank you. Sticking with. That concludes today's meeting. It's Monday. The next meeting will be 8th of
September.
October. It will be the 8th.